This is easily one of the weirdest places I've ever decided to shoot a video, and this is really outside of my comfort zone, which you know I'm still working on. So here we go. I'm in the back of a parking lot alleyway in Pasadena in the middle of the night. Probably one of my most favorite places to be and most favorite time to be right now. So I apologize if the lighting is really weird, but you probably noticed already by the title that I'm talking about creative process. I was thinking about this earlier today because as I've kind of gotten more involved with businesses and brand building and entrepreneurship and social media in general, I've become more aware of the idea of the creative process. And when I typed it into Google this morning, you can do it yourself. Just type it into Google right now in a different tab. Don't worry, I won't be offended. But as I typed it in, I came across just thousands of what I really felt like were just repeat articles over and over again about the 5 creative process steps, or the 10 steps to the creative process, or the 6 steps, or the 8 steps, or you know, there's no creative process at all, or blah blah blah. So there was just, it felt like a lot of rehashing over a lot of different information. And you know, as I started reading some of these articles, I really kind of felt like none of these directly applied to me. And I don't know if you're in the same boat as I, but I just thought if my creative process is different, then everyone's creative process is a little different. So that would make sense, right? Because you're not cookie cutter. And this is my five tips to help foster your creativity, so that way you can figure out your creative process. Because as I've gotten older, I've noticed that my process changes. I don't think it's cookie cutter. I don't think it stays the same, and it shouldn't. Because as you grow as a creative, your creativity grows with you, your process grows with you as well. And so I think it changes. I think it evolves just like we do. So anyway, here's Wild and Deed's 5 tips to help foster your creativity. So number 1, capitalize on your inspiration. Very rarely in the early days, whenever I was really leaning into my creativity, did inspiration hit when I wanted it to. And so when it did, I had to drop what I was doing and just and write it down. Whether it was a few lyrics of a spoken word poem I was hoping to write later, or maybe it was a song in my head, or a picture that I had, you know, just whatever it was. Because I typically work in poetry, photography, and film. Smartphones were like a godsend to me, because you could easily just take out your phone, take out one of these bad boys, and just start writing, start taking a picture, or just do a quick video, or even a voice memo. Just really capitalize on the inspiration when it hits you, because as you're developing your creative process, you have to take advantage of the time whenever it comes. So really capitalize on the inspiration when it comes to you. So number 2, don't wait for inspiration. I think one of my most favorite quotes that a friend of mine told me the other day was, sometimes you just have to get stuff done by candlelight instead of by fire. Whenever we talk about inspiration, we usually talk about it like it's this big, huge burning bush in our stomachs, and we've got to go. You know, as nice as that sounds, that's not always the case, especially when you're working in the creative world, whether it be film, photography, poetry, marketing. But you don't need to wait for inspiration to come to you. Sometimes you just need to get yourself into a place where you can allow yourself to be inspired, really get, you know, the creative juices flowing in your mind. For me, it's a coffee shop or some landmark place where I had a creative thought and I want to go back there because I want to try to recreate that for myself. So for me, it's a coffee shop. I try to, whenever I'm trying to get creative, or I'm trying to finish a project or something, I take myself back to that coffee shop. I order the same coffee, and I just really put myself in that environment. So I go and chase after that inspiration. Number 3, and I think that this is really, really important, but handle criticism well. Handle it properly. I know that whenever I get inspired, in the moment, it is the best idea I've ever had. There's no better idea, and when I'm sketching it out, or I'm writing it down, I think it's the best thing that I've ever heard. And then I present it to a mentor or a friend or my wife even, and they might not have the same big reaction that I had to it. And that's okay. As creatives, not every idea is a great idea, and we have to accept that. We've got to learn to take criticism. Criticism isn't always negative. Criticism can definitely be Criticism can definitely be constructive to the greater cause. So maybe you have an idea for a t-shirt company and you come up with all these different designs, you think they're all great, and then somebody looks at them and doesn't like 2 or 3 of them. Don't take any of that personal. You want people to be interested in what you've got to offer. And so taking criticism, even from the people that are closest to you, whose word you trust, that's definitely a big deal, especially when you're trying to figure out your creative process. Number 4, and I think this is a big one, see it through. If you had a creative idea, you had an inspired thought, you had a project in mind, see it all the way through. A lot of times whenever we think about creativity or we get an inspired thought, our emotion takes place, like I just said earlier. Like we get real fired up about it, and we just like really excited about it, and then later on down the line we realize there's work involved. And that's unfortunately where a lot of projects fall off. That's where we find a lot of our projects being half done or almost finished, is whenever the real work is involved or needed, and it just falls through. Don't be that person. See your project through. Even if you're 3/4 of the way through or you're halfway through it and you hate it, it's not turning out the way you want it to be, it's not what you thought it was gonna be, finish it. See it all the way through, because that right there, even in the failure, that could be the best thing that happens for you creatively, because then later on, whenever you're taking on another project, or you have another bit of inspiration, you know what to look for now. You've learned from the losses. You can't be afraid to take the L's. So see your projects through. Number 5, and this is probably one of the hardest ones. So number 5, to help foster your creativity, don't be afraid to share. You created it, you made it so people would see it. You didn't make it so it would stay in that computer hard drive or in a notebook or anything like that. You made it so you could share it. So whenever you've made this thing, this creative thing that you've made, like so for YouTube, whenever I make a video, the hardest part about it is pressing upload, because now it's open to criticism. And this goes back to what I was saying earlier. You have to be open to constructive criticism. This is a little different. This is the product is finished, everyone loves it, or most people love it, or it's where I want it to be, and now I've got to press upload, or now I've got to press send or whatever, and let people have a look at it. People won't know how good you are until you share things. People won't know what type of artist you are until you share things. So you have to share, and just be comfortable with the process of it all. Like I said, these are just some of the lessons that I've learned as I've gone on about my creative process, and as I figured out my creative process. I think what might be cool is somewhere later down the line I actually share with you my creative process as it is right then and there. But like I said earlier, I'm still trying to figure it out. And again, remember, this is all a process, and processes need patience. Hopefully these 5 tips I've given you will help you foster a creative process, or help you just gain more self-awareness and figure you out. Either way, I hope it was really helpful. Until next time, guys, I'm gonna get up out of here because it's getting late. So I'll see you later. Take care, everybody.